Hello and welcome to another video. So we're going to be taking a look at basically an aggro bat blood deck. Its main structure is bats, I guess, with the Vania, Summon and the Vate, which can do some crazy damage. The Urius, the Amblings, the Curse, the Blood Wolf, all the stuff that used to be ran in aggro bat pretty much, with a couple of new techs. So 3 Scarlet Saber, deal 2 damage, heal 2, really good finishes. Plus it fills out that 5-drop curve, which Blood always had a little bit of trouble with when you want to go for an Implants on turn 6. The Big Knuckle filling out that 4 spot, which is usually where Demonic Strike would have been set, but having an extra 4-drop doesn't really hurt this aggro deck too much, considering every other card is between 1 and 3, and we're running 15 2-drops. Soul Dominator, a 1-of, just as a 4 damage 7-drop that can be pumped up. You could also put in probably Alucard or Esmeralda, or Esmeralda, or whatever it is, depending on what you really want to use. It's pretty open slot really, 7, 4 damage Storm. There's plenty of options out there. So we'll get right into some games and we'll go over the mulligans. So most of these games are pretty quick. Being an aggro deck, you usually want to be finished turn 6, turn 7 at the latest. So you're mainly looking for a solid curve of 1, 2, 3. If you can't, you want a solid 2-drop into a solid 3-drop. So here we have Vania, Razori and Soul. Drop the Soul, drop the Vania, because Vania wants to be played probably on 4 with an Evolve. So you want to go for a different 2-drop, considering we're running 15 of them. You don't really need to hold Vania, unless you already have combo pieces. So 1-drop, Curse Brand. Solid 1-drop, not quite as good as Ambling, but does the job and can get a Vengeance boost in the mid to late game, depending on your health total. Urius is a deal 1 for each summon, really solid 2-drop, probably the second best 2-drop next to Blood Wolf, depending on the board state. I like to play Urius out if I can, otherwise I tend to avoid it, but it's not too bad. Disagreeable Demon, gaining +2, dealing 2 to me. Pretty solid. Gains ward if you have an opponent, so it can act as both a block and it can act as an aggressor. So it's a really versatile card, especially as a 3-drop. Luckily though, it seems we're going against dshift, which makes this match reasonably simple for me. I just have to push damage and flood board, so that they can't ping my whole board off. Pushing them to 11 on turn 4, pretty optimal for this deck. You want to go for that sort of damage. Like I said, this is an easier matchup, but it allows me to go over what most of the early game is, because it was quite a nice early game curve, and we had some alright options. So they go for that ping. Something that dshift is quite good at, having a lot of small removal things. But if you continually flood, there isn't too much they can do. The aggressiveness of most aggro decks will beat dshift. Fortunately, we knock them down to 2 from here, with the chance to use Scarlet for lethal next turn, or set up double Urius so they also cannot play anything, which is a pretty good advantage. I mean, if they can't play a follower without dying, it's not too bad. They can use the Mage to trade, but then they can't use it to hit face, and they'll put themselves to 1 instead. So we pretty much set up lethal from here. There wasn't any issue. Pretty quick game, like I said. They're not normally drawn out with this deck. So match 2 is against Shadow, something that is becoming a lot more popular. Fortunately, as long as we get the aggressor, we should be good. I'm actually kind of glad. I love aggro bat style decks, and severe aggro bloods, they're always great fun for me. Quick games, usually you can do some funny stuff with the Vanias and some Bloodkin lethals. Also the Urius pressures are always good to see. While it's not the most complex strategy, it's definitely a fun one to do, at least in my opinion. So they sacrifice their zombie party, which isn't so bad because Disagreeable Demon now gets the boost, and they're less likely to have targeted removal, meaning that my damage is more likely to go through. Sergeant giving them 1 shadow. Saving that Vania and Summon Bloodkin for turn 5, because that's our evolve turn. Going first, you have a pretty good advantage as long as you curve out. And seeing how Disagreeable Demon can really affect the board on turn 3, it's a really optimal card in most matchups. The only matchup that I don't like it too much is probably against Dragon, as you really need to be a little more aggressive in the early game, because they will pressure out Sybil on 5. which is a big threat to aggro decks. The healing and the body are such a pain to get over. So we summon the Vania, giving us a little bit of damage. I do decide to evolve the Vania. It may have been better to go with the Ambling Wraith and evolve the 4-3 and deal 6, which would have gave us a total of 7 damage for this turn off that, plus the 2 from the bat, so a total of 9. But this worked out just fine and created another target for them to hit. And fortunately, the Soul Squasher target means they have to hit the Vania and can't kill my 4-3 effectively. From here, we've got double Demonic Strike, Ambling Wraith, and double Bat plus an Evolve, so we can do at least 8 in the next turn, I think, total. Yep. So 8 would have been in the next turn, but the Scarlet is just that much better. The heal keeps us out of range of any craziness on turn 6, even though there isn't too much they could honestly do as Shadow. Turn 7 would have been the big threat, but they won't even make it that far thanks to the Ambling Wraith and Demonic Strikes that are coming out. So they concede without having anything left. Okay, so now we have the final matchup being Dragon. Cute little Vania was doing her job. So we've got the Big Knuckles Implances and Demonic Strikes. Not good, all too high a cost. You're looking for 1, 2, 3, not 4, 5, and 4, which is not a good combo to have in the early game. Fortunately, this hand was okay. All 3 2-drops isn't too bad. Would have been better if we had got a 1-drop, but we still have a shot. As long as Dragon doesn't go crazy on us, we should be pretty set. So Urias on turn 2, because Bloodwolf will be easily countered by the 1-2, meaning we will only be able to do neutral damage, and it's not worth doing that. Unfortunately, Oracle does get the value there, being able to just play it out. And luckily now Bloodwolf becomes an actual threat, plus we didn't have much else to do for turn 2. So this way they have to kind of leave the Urias up unless they can find another way to deal with it. And I get to just ping damage to their face, which I always enjoy. Fortunately, Breath of Salamander being played early is a good thing. I mean, it means we're not going to have a full board clear in the next couple turns unless they've managed to pull 2 of them. Unfortunately, Disagreeable Demon setting up our ward and allowing our Ambling to do 3 more damage with the Evolve. Since we've got plenty of Evolve points, you're never too worried about spending them. You want to get that early damage in. We have got the Implancer and the Soul Dominator, which is a really nice setup, especially when you got Razory. Unfortunately, they did have another Salamander, which made things a little more difficult, but wasting them again means we're able to ping some damage here. So I do decide to hold on to the Evolve points because I do have 6 and 7. So if I can use those Evolve points there, I'm going to get more value than out of the Vania. Fortunately, they concede, so they clearly didn't have anything they could really deal with me with. And that pretty much wraps up the Aggro Blood deck. I know these videos are pretty short and quick because Aggro Bloods are usually pretty quick, but I think it gave a good oversight of the deck. You know, you really want these Amblings in turn 1. If not, you want Curse. Then you want probably the Bloodwolf or the Urias. Turn 3, you want Vate or Disagreeable, maybe even combo with something like Razory Claw, or a 2-drop and 1-drop works out as well. Turn 4, if you have to going second, Vania, Summon Bloodkin is an amazing combo, or double Vania works out nearly just as well. Otherwise, you want to go for turn 5, where you can do the Vania, Summon Bloodkin, maybe a 1-drop. And otherwise, you've got the Scarlets, the Big Knuckles, Imps, and Soul Doms as your kind of mid to late entries in the deck, just to kill off most of their pressures. And the Demonic Strikes are a little bit of reach, and so are the Razory Claws for when you want to hit them in the face for potential lethal damage. And that pretty much wraps up the deck. There's not too much to say. It's extremely cheap deck. You use no legendaries, and we've only got 4 golds in the deck total, which isn't too bad. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. You'll find the deck list in the description below, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.